Ireland's castles have always been places of power and fear. Behind their walls lie stories whispered for centuries, ghostly chambers, secret passages, escape tunnels, and hidden rooms sealed away from the world. But what if the truth is even more incredible than the legend? What if right now, as workers restore these ancient fortresses, they're uncovering secrets that have been hidden for centuries? In 2023, during a routine restoration, a carpenter uncovered something so carefully concealed, no one can explain it to this day. But before we get to that finding, let's travel through Ireland's most mysterious castles and try to separate fact from legend to find out what these stone giants are really hiding. With its imposing, almost menacing silhouette, Leap Castle is often called the most haunted castle in all of Ireland. For more than 600 years, it was the stronghold of the O'Carroll clan, a family known for ruthless power struggles. And inside its chapel lies one of the castle's bloodiest secrets. In 1532, a cruel O'Carroll brother burst into the chapel and murdered his priest brother at the altar during Mass to seize power. The murder turned the room into a symbol of horror, the Bloody Chapel. But it was another discovery that gave the castle its most sinister reputation. For centuries, stories were told of a chamber known as an oubliette. The word comes from the French oublier, which means to forget. An oubliette was a kind of dungeon, accessible only from a trapdoor in the ceiling. Prisoners were dropped inside and simply left to die. For a long time, this was just another one of Leap Castle's chilling legends. But during restoration work in 1922, that legend became a horrifying reality. Workers discovered a hidden chamber beneath the floor of the Bloody Chapel. What they found inside was truly unspeakable. The entire floor was covered in human skeletons, and among the bones they found a mid-19th century pocket watch, proof the gruesome pit was used far more recently than anyone imagined. The skeletons were the remains of prisoners left to die and be forgotten by time. And if that wasn't enough, Leap Castle holds another rumour, one even harder to verify. The murder hole room, where legend says a member of the O'Carroll family was killed by a relative. Although the precise location of this space is kept secret, it is said that a blood stain on the floor repeatedly reappears despite attempts to remove it. With so many secret rooms, brutal murders, and a chamber built to forget the forgotten, Leap Castle's reputation feels tragically earned. But not all secrets are just supernatural. Some are buried beneath the ground itself. Secret rooms are one thing, but the idea that every castle had a secret passage is one of the most persistent Irish legends. These stories are epic, filled with daring escapes from soldiers, secret meetings between lovers, and whispered plots in the shadows. But is there any truth to them? To answer that, we have to go to the heart of Ireland's history, Dublin Castle. For centuries, this castle was the seat of British rule in Ireland. It was a centre of power, a fortress, a treasury, and a prison. No wonder there are legends everywhere, of intricate tunnels, rebellions, and fearless escapes. One famous story tells of the 16th century chieftain Red Hugh O'Donnell escaping imprisonment through the castle's underground passages. But when archaeologists finally dug underneath the castle, they uncovered something far more ancient and even more fascinating than the legend. What they found were the remains of the castle's original Viking age fortifications, along with its medieval defences built by the Normans. Before the Normans ever built a castle here, Vikings had a settlement on this very spot. And when the Normans built their castle in the 13th century, they built it directly on top of Viking foundations. They even diverted the River Poddle to fill a massive moat surrounding the castle walls, an ingenious system of water and defence. So, what lies underneath Dublin Castle isn't a network of escape tunnels at all. What you see here are two separate layers of history: the original Viking defences, and, built much later, the foundations of the Norman stronghold, along with the archways that once carried the river Poddle into the moat. The river itself was eventually covered over and now flows beneath the modern city streets. So, were there escapes? Yes. Red Hugh O'Donnell's escape through the Poddle is historically documented, which means the legends about secret tunnels aren't entirely wrong. But the primary purpose of this underground system was water management and defense, not secret escape tunnels. This is a story of Viking ingenuity and Norman ambition, written in stone and water deep under the city. Our next story is one of the most dramatic, a discovery made only 2 years ago. We're at Johnstown Castle in County Wexford, a spectacular Gothic revival marvel that stood for over 8 centuries. For years, the castle has been undergoing a massive restoration project, carefully preserving its history. But in August of 2023, a totally routine task led to an incredible discovery. A carpenter was carrying out conservation work on one of the castle's many intricate windows. As he worked, he noticed something strange, a window that didn't seem to correspond to any known interior space. Following a hunch, the team of workers broke through a section of the wall and discovered something totally unexpected, a hidden chamber that had remained untouched and unseen for generations. At first glance, the small circular chamber looked like a turret room, the kind that might once have held a servant or a guard. But that only deepened the mystery. Why would anyone seal off a perfectly functional room? Why erase it from the castle's memory? Speculation quickly turned to the castle's tragic family history. In past centuries, it was common practice to close off part of a home after a family tragedy or a traumatic event. Was this a room of sorrow, sealed away to contain painful memories? As of now, the investigation is ongoing, adding another layer of mystery to a castle that seems to be full of them. Indeed, this wasn't the only secret unearthed at Johnstown. During the ongoing restorations, another hidden chamber was discovered under a tower at the lake, a room accessible only by boat. The president of the Irish Heritage Trust called the discovery highly unusual and incredible. It just goes to show that these historic properties haven't given up all their secrets yet. Johnstown Castle is a reminder that sometimes the greatest discoveries aren't made by research, but by pure accident. From the Oubliette at Leap Castle to the Viking defences beneath Dublin, from the sealed room at Johnstown to the hidden chamber by the lake, one thing becomes clear: some legends aren't just stories. The secrets of Ireland's castles are tales of tragedy and survival, of brutal power and incredible ingenuity. Hidden rooms were very real architectural features, used for everything from protection and privacy to the darkest of deeds. And the myths of secret passages often point to long-forgotten defences built long before the legends were born. What's most exciting is that this is still happening. These are just a few of the hundreds of castles scattered across Ireland. Who knows what secrets are waiting to be found? History doesn't end. Sometimes it waits behind a wall. If you'd like more haunting stories, watch the darkest chapters of the Tower of London, where power, mystery, and fear shaped the history of an entire kingdom.